Welcome to the January 14th episode of Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
And we have 3 races to bring you this time. No 2 segments, just one segment. We couldn't really find 6 worthy races, or even 5 worthy races for that matter. So we're just going to do 1 segment, 3 races here.
Yeah, we just have the 3. We actually had 1 we might have done, but unfortunately the horses we were interested in are actually running on Wednesday at Aqueduct, and by the time we got to it, the race would have already been run, and either you would have hated us or been extremely happy that you didn't see it in time to lose your money.
Exactly. So we'll avoid that situation, and we'll get to the first race we'll show here on the segment. It was January 9th, race number 2, maiden special weight for New York bred 3-year-olds. And we're taking a look at the 5 Ask Amadon here early. Horse that is making his second start here. Going to break out of the gate a little bit slow.
Yeah, not only does this horse get left, and we'll see it very soon, right as they start the race, but also I thought this was an interesting situation where if you watch the race and you take a look at the final result and how the race was run, and there's, of course, Ask Amadon getting left here, and he'll go right to the rail and basically save ground the whole way, but we'll have trouble later in the race. We'll get to that. This was one of those races that the horses that did well here saved the ground, and the horses that were wide did not do well. The eventual winner isn't even in the picture. There he is on the inside. Right behind him is Ask Amadon.
Yeah, and Summer Share is the winner of this race in about 7th position now on the inside, and you're going to see this horse get steadied a little bit. In fact, we're going to take a look at a couple other horses there that were outside of the winner. We're going to take a look at the 3-horse Stay a Little While and the 7 Empire Express. Andy, if you're right here, if this was an inside type of race, then these horses were definitely compromised.
Yeah, and that's, when we talk about the inside-outside races, it's not a biased situation. Basically, maybe there was a day or 2 here where the inside was really the place to be, but we've had an even track on the inner track this meet. I don't care what anybody says, but sometimes races, especially the 2-turn races, have a sort of flow to them. But we've even seen it in 1-turn races, and we've talked about this in the show, where the horses towards the inside do well, the ones on the outside don't. There just has to be something to it. And we're focusing on this second pack because you have the winner on the inside, and of course you have Stay a Little While, who on paper was probably the best horse going the race, is 3 wide, and 4 wide here is Empire Express. Stay a Little While, as much as I hate the concept of it, I don't know if he bounced, but it feels like as close to a horse as bouncing as they could.
Yeah, he had a sharp move in his last race, a premature move to get the lead, and on the outside of Stay a Little While, you see Empire Express make that 4-wide move. So things not working out too well for these horses, having to make that 4-wide move. Now down on the inside, you're going to see Ask Amadon get back into the picture here, right in behind the winner of the race, Summer Share. Ask Amadon coming onto the screen here as they turn for home. You're going to see Ask Amadon getting some traffic trouble here. The jockey's trying to move Ask Amadon outside, and just a couple things going wrong here. A horse gets in his way. I think the winner might have come out like a path or something like that. Makes him try to get outside even more here. And then he's going to get off the screen here on the pan shot when he gets steadied right there. We'll see it on the head on what I mean, but he does get steady there. He doesn't come with any kind of finish at the end, but you know what? This horse, just might have been discouraged after the slow break and having to alter course a couple times in the stretch.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with him, but I didn't think that Ask Amadon, and we'll watch that on, I didn't think Ask Amadon, and you can tell us with the trouble, I thought he ran better in his first start with a little trouble, and I think he might benefit from a turn back after this race, going a sprint next time.
Yeah, you see some traffic down inside. The jock's trying to get Ask Amadon outside. There's some still, a horse carrying him out a little bit there. He gets in a path here where it looks like he's going to have some room. He gets shut off there. He has to steady. That's where he just disappeared from the pan shot there. You don't see that on the pan shot. And the jock tries to get into him a little bit, but he's got nothing left here. And after having to alter course a couple times in the stretch, and just having to break slowly, make up the ground anyway, I just don't know if this was an excuse race for Ask Amadon. I'm inclined to give him a second chance here. It all depends on the price next time out.
Yeah, I didn't think his first race was that bad, so I am interested enough that I could give him another look, and did think he had trouble here. But he also did have the flow go for him, and he saved ground the way the race was run. I would love to see Empire Express turn back in his next start, and I also think Stay a Little While, if he gets in the right spot and goes back to that prior race, he'll be tough. But we'll see how quickly they come back. The next race we're going to go to is our feature on Saturday, and that was the Busanda Stakes. And I thought this was a pretty interesting field, and the dynamics of this race really affected the final finish.
Yeah, it was a very contentious pace from start to finish in this race. Actually, the favorite here is the number 6 horse, Flashing. We're going to highlight Flashing. And the Darley Silks moving up in 3rd here. We're going to take a little pause here in the race and highlight Flashing. You see Flashing just not being comfortable. Looks like wants to be a little bit closer up to the pace. Jock's kind of got to steady a little bit and going behind horses here.
Yeah, Flashing, who I think is a talented horse and was very impressive winning her debut, but it was in the mud. stud. But she was impressive that day. Flashing is never able to get comfortable in this race. There was plenty of pace in here. She was rank. Ramon Dominguez couldn't ever get her settled. And this was a race where the closer you were to the early pace, the farther back you ended up basically finishing.
Yeah, the 3-horse in here, Miss Dartmouth, makes a move, takes the lead away from the 1 Southern Charmer, who's going to make another move a little bit later in the race. Southern Charmer making 2 moves here. I thought Southern Charmer ran well, but it's kind of pace compromise in a spot like this. And now we're going to take a look and see. Basically, right now, the horses that run 1-2 are off the screen.
Right, they are. And don't forget, Gill, of all the first finishers, is the one making the earliest move. And don't forget, Gill was in a very, very cozy spot at this point and just before it, when the rider decides, for whatever reason, to make what I thought was a premature move up on the inside. There was no reason to do this. Don't forget, Gill has come from off the pace, even though she was close to a very slow pace in her prior effort when she won. She can come from behind, and I'm not sure why he made that early move. Now, Chocolate Pop is in the fluorescent, the winning move silks behind her, the orange silks, but she's making her move much later, and don't forget, Gill has now dropped back out of the race. And of course, Flashing is too close, and Southern Charmer has made that premature run of the lead.
Yeah, and Flashing, I think we missed a little bit of a steady there in the turn as well with Flashing, and then you're going to see the eventual winner, Pumpkin Shell, and CeCe Lopez in the red cap down about 2 passes off the rail come through, and really everything opens up beautifully for Pumpkin Shell here. Just a textbook race where the pace is too fast. You want to be off the pace, and you're going to see the 2 and the 4, the 2 horses that were last and second to last early on, get the job done here in the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, this is a race that the absolute dynamics dictated what happened at the end. And, I can make a case that between these 4 horses, there's no reason that the horse who finished 3rd and 4th didn't run every bit as well, if not better, than the first 2 finishers. I don't like the first 2 finishers in this race in their next starts, particularly Pumpkin Shell. They come back in a similar spot. Slightly different race pace dynamics. I think you'll have a much different result.
Absolutely. A lot of horses to look out for coming out of the Busanda, and they weren't the top 2 finishers, that's for sure. One more race in the segment here. We're going to take a look at a first-time starter from January 11th, race number 6. The horse's name is Navidano, a first-time starter from the Carlos Martin barn, and we're going to roll the tape here. Navidano is going to break a couple lengths slowly here out of the gate, and nothing really too troublesome happens after this. The horse gets a pretty good trip for the most part here. Doesn't have a ton of run in the stretch at the first part, in the early stretch, but does come later on with a decent run. We're kind of on the fence here as to whether this is a trip or a trap. Andy thinks it's a trap. I think it could be a trip if the price is right next time out. If it's a short price, I'd probably say it's a trap. But we're going to talk about the race a little bit more. And the winner, Karakoram Fugitive, actually pretty impressive here.
Yeah, the winner was a first-time star for Karakoram, called Karakoram Fugitive, trained by Jimmy Jerkins. And it's getting a very good trip, but settling nicely behind horses here. But this horse, eventually, as you'll see, basically just runs off the screen, wins by over 4 lengths. Also, I'm the Queen of Queens, who was odds-on for the 2nd time out of its last 3 races, and a heavy favorite in all 3 of those. I think people have finally had enough of I'm the Queen of Queens. This horse is just not going to win a race. And of course, the horse in here, Navidano, is making a little move here. But for my money, Navidano did next to no running whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, right at this point here, it looks like Navidano's getting nothing, and you wouldn't be surprised to see him finish 5th or 6th here. He is going to come back onto the screen late, come with a good finish, and finish 4th in here, beating about 5 1/4 lengths. So, this horse is kind of given a sneaky finish here on the outside. You're going to see Navidano come back on the screen here. Some people might say, wow, the horse finished up real well. I broke slow. Want to bet it next time. But I'm on the fence about this one, as are you.
I think this race just kind of collapsed at the end behind the winner. The winner drew off and won easily, and everybody else was just sort of idling and not doing any real running. And Navidano is supposed to pick him up, considering the way the race was run. This is a horse that got left to start, compromised a little bit, but ultimately I don't think did any running, and I'm against Navidano next time it comes back. I'm certainly not taking I'm the Queen of Queens. In fact, this is the kind of field, when this group gets together next time, I'm looking for the strangers.
Yeah, and I'm the Queen of Queens probably gets bet again if it's against these kind of horses.
Boy, not like that. This horse is, I have to think that people are finished making this horse anything close to odds on.
All right, well, that does it for Trips and Traps this week. Keep in mind, we are running 6 days this week here at Aqueduct with the holiday Monday coming up, so our next segment will be taped on Thursday morning. And remember to keep the emails coming, Trips and Traps at NYRAinc.com.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.